Hey guys, what is up? Me, Paige here, once again, with another video on The Flash Season 5. So in the finale of The Flash this season, we had some things answered, some new things revealed, but we also had some things from this season touched upon, but not completely or really answered for us, the viewer. Now, I am doing this video as many people were asking through the comment sections of various videos about this topic and what it could possibly be leading to into next season, as well as what we understand about it now after watching the Season 4 finale. And that topic, of course, is around the Speedforce symbols. We will also be going over how they relate to some of the characters, including that of our new obsession on the show, that of course being Nora Allen. Now, I need to make this clear, as I usually do when I go over something on the channel that isn't from me. This breakdown is from a Reddit user, who after posting this thing on Reddit, decided to delete their account, or like Reddit banned them. I'm unclear which one it was. Pretty weird, to be completely honest, but I will leave the Reddit post linked in the description down below if anyone wants to go check it out. Check it all out, because that will, have survived even though the user deleted their account. So that post is still there, but the account's gone. It's weird. This person that posted this was obviously very familiar with what they were talking about, so we will use direct quotes from their post in some areas, just to make that clear to everyone watching. But of course, this is a video where I'm sure people are going to have a lot of opinions, so do be sure to leave your opinions in the comment section down below. Whether you agree with what we go over in this video, or you disagree, or maybe you have more to add to it, just let me know all of that stuff in the comment section down below. And of course, it would be awesome if you could drop a like on this video to show your support, because I'm sure it's a big one that a lot of people wanted to learn about. So yeah, doing that would be awesome, and subscribing to the channel if you are new. So let's start off with that reveal in the finale for Season 4 towards the end, which of course was when Harry Wells gets his brain like somewhat restored to average Harry level. Like not Harry we are used to average, so smart Harry, but just like the average brain, if you want to call it. And this is when we learn that the Speedforce symbols we have dealt with and seen pop up at various points this season are in fact a form of binary programming polynomials. But what are binary programming polynomials? Well, they are actually used to construct artificial neural networks. So what this means, like going back to the beginning of the season, is that Barry was writing in the Speedforce symbol language in order to manually rewire his brain. So what we can guess happened while Barry was in the Speedforce was that at some point Barry had failed to stop DeVoe, and DeVoe had succeeded in bringing forth the Enlightenment and rebooting Barry's mind, as well as anyone else that was there, but mainly Barry for this circumstance. So what these symbols do is program off the much more resilient part of your brain that deals with creativity, and also does all the math, if you want to call it, for when you are idle, so sleeping or just doing nothing. So Barry writing it all out fully on the walls everywhere is why he suddenly came back. He had managed to reprogram his neural network back to a more functional state. But with this, Barry had to sacrifice something, and what he had to sacrifice was all of that newly gained knowledge from his time in the Speedforce. And once doing this, he just went back to his normal Barry, as we saw when he had exited the Speedforce, when he came to. As we know, people on the show, like the producers and the cast, and Grant Gustin in particular, said that when Barry would return or escape from the Speedforce, he would be much more knowledgeable. Which is correct, as we knew Barry was talking nonsense, but it was stuff from the past and also the future. Like that was the knowledge he had. So that was all in his head, but reprogramming his mind to a point in which he was, well, normal, deleted that side of everything. We also did see that DeVoe had written the symbols on his blackboard shortly after using the thinking cap, or at least a short period after that. So his mind was also reprogramming itself in a sense. Not the same, you'd have to think, as Barry, but, similar. Even though we never really jumped into that in the show, which I guess is one disappointment, but I guess they didn't have to explain everything, because obviously we didn't really learn too much about the Speedforce symbols in this season. But as we heard in the finale, Cisco made a note that Harry, when he was towards the end of the side effects of the thinking cap, was speaking exactly like Barry, and in some cases was muttering the same things that Barry was. Which shows that Barry at the start of the season was post-enlightenment. Because if you still haven't realized, that's what Harry was suffering. Like, he was an example of what people would be like if the Enlightenment, commenced. This reprogramming using the Speedforce symbols awakens the other side of the brain that wasn't affected and brings it to be like the dominant being. So then that can start reprogramming and start rebuilding the brain. So due to this, we know that Barry at the beginning of the season was enlightened and was able to reprogram his brain with the binary programming polynomials to get his ability to communicate and function normally back. So he was communicating through rambling and the Speedforce symbols, and it really wasn't making sense to anyone, but as he was able to write them all out and reprogram his own brain, he was able to return to normal. So the fact that the whole reprogramming of your brain essentially makes the other side of the brain the more dominant one, this sort of explains why Barry had like a massive shift in tone in regards to, his emotions and how he was as a character from previous seasons. So the flip in tone that many were complaining about, his immature, awkward, almost goofy state, it was due to this. He's like, his brain was still coming to terms with it being reprogrammed. And he did see this with Harry. Harry's sort of like decline paralleled Barry's like rebuild, if you want to call it, after he, managed to come to and sort of collect himself. So Harry was getting, a bit more over the top in regards to his goofiness and stuff as he started to lose his intelligence. But as Barry went back up, he started losing that goofiness, if that makes sense. Hopefully everyone's understanding what I'm getting at there. What this guy found the most interesting was that the entire season is made to look like it is based all around the thinker and thinking. But this whole season is not about like focusing on smarts and logic, but on reason, empathy, and the importance of feelings and actual emotion, which is pretty eye-opening once you hear that while going over all of this. It's pretty fascinating. So once you learn that this is basically what the season was going for, and you go back and watch season 4, you're like, oh, okay, that's why this was sort of weird and it's a bit not Flash and not acting like Barry. This is exactly why it's like that. So if you had an issue with season 4 and you're watching this video and you're sort of learning this stuff, I would go back and watch it and just see different moments. Obviously, it's not a perfect season, but I think some moments might make more sense to you once you learn this information. But anyway, when it comes down to it, why was Nora Allen writing those symbols into that notebook when we saw her? I mean, she seemed fairly normal. Like, she wasn't rambling like Barry was when he came in the Speed Force, or like Harry when he was towards the end of his rope. Well, what it looks like is going on is that Nora writes the symbols down in that notebook in order to keep her sanity in check and keep her brain normal. This would also explain and connect to the way that she speaks. It seems like really awkward and confusing to those listening. It's just because, similar to Barry, her mind was going a mile a minute, but she's still able to stay collected for the most part by writing those symbols in the notebook. So basically what it seems is that she's like reprogramming on the go. So she's reprogramming while, she's probably still being affected, if that makes sense. But another question that comes from this is whether Nora knows these symbols due to her coming from a time in which the Enlightenment was successful and she just knew of a way in which to keep herself from being rebooted, or does she know of it due to her connection to the Speed Force? It could be either one or even a mixture of the two. Regardless, you would have to think we will dive into all of that next season. As I have pointed out in a few videos before this one, Nora was holding that notebook that the Speed Force symbols were written in to previously in the season. She was holding that when she walked into the West household. Another interesting thing to point out is that she seemed to be, speaking normally when she entered the West household after DeVoe had been beaten and the Enlightenment was prevented. But then again, that could just be due to her being older than she was by a few years from when we saw her early in the season, which we have also gone over previously. But Nora Allen's one of those confusing characters that we're just going to have to learn about. I don't think you can predict too much. There is some things you can be certain of, like the notebook that's going to come back into it because of the fact that she was holding it at the end of the season in that final scene. That's something that's going to come back. Obviously, we know the Speed Force symbols are in there, so we're going to come back to a lot of that stuff. Hopefully they dive into the Speed Force symbols. We know that it is, this binary programming polynomial, but hopefully they actually dive into it so people that might not be watching this video, sort of get a grip on what they mean. But thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully, I don't know if this is necessarily a video you can enjoy. It's just a video that might teach you something. But if you did enjoy it or you learned something, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like on it to show your support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions. I'm sure there's going to be some questions, which is fine. Leave them all in the comment section down below. As I said, that link to the Reddit post will be in the description below. I'm hoping it doesn't get deleted because the account's deleted. I'm not too sure how Reddit works in regards to that. But yeah, it'll be linked in the description. Go check it out and you might get a deeper understanding because there is some stuff I left out that I didn't think was necessary to put in the video. But yeah, you can go check it out if you want to. The link's in the description. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. I'll catch you later, guys. Goodbye.